Okay, so it is that time. We can start with the Mangla Charan. Indulekha Mataji, would you like to do the Mangla Charan for today?
Yes, please. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः तदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्द्यहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखां हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमस्ते सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पाञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभवैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनचारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवते सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोकैर्भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Bol. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for joining in and making yourself available every Mondays. We really appreciate your time and association. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the process of creation, and today we are on the last text, text 25 of Chapter 4. So we hand over to you, Hare Krishna.
Jai Haribo, sad occasion, the last verse. What a wonderful chapter this has been. The process of creation has been absolutely fantastic. To be honest, when we started, I was a little bit dreading it because it is a little bit of a technical chapter, but it has been an eye-opener for me as, of course, I don't only read the verse on the day that I do. I read a few verses before and after whatever verse I'm going to cover on that day, and it's been so enlivening to read. I mean, it's always like that. It's just that sometimes the mind gets ahead of us, and we think, "Oh, God, I have to do this again." But it's been very, very enlightening and enlivening. I'm really happy that we've covered this. So today is Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 25. Wonderful. And then, of course, the next chapter is even more enlightening. The cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda
Satchitananda Vigraha
Anadi
Anadiyat
Adi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Isn't it wonderful? It's just great.
Yeah.
We're on the road. Yeah, we're on the road. So Prabhupada said on many occasions, actually, he said, even on the royal road, there can be an accident. So sometimes we may, just deviate a little bit from the path, but when we stick with it, then we get there eventually. So Omigana Timirandasya Kadangadashalakaya Chakraram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Eta Devatma Burajan Naradaya Viprachate Vedagarbo Vyajat Sakshad Yadaha Hariratmanaha Etat, on this matter. Eva, exactly. Atmabu, the firstborn, Brahmaji. Rajan, my dear king. Naradaya, unto Narada Muni. Viprichate, having inquired about it from. Vedagarabha, one who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from birth. Abhyadat, apprised. Sakshat, directly. Yat, aha, what he spoke. Hari, the Lord. Atmanaha, unto his own. Brahma. Translation, my dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narad, exactly apprised him on this subject, as it was directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As soon as Brahma was born of the abdominal lotus petals of Vishnu, he was impregnated with Vedic knowledge, and therefore he is known as Vedagarbha, or a Vedantist from the embryo. Without Vedic knowledge, or perfect infallible knowledge, no one can create anything. All scientific knowledge and perfect knowledge are Vedic. One can get all types of information from the Vedas, and as such, Brahma was impregnated with all perfect knowledge so that it was possible for him to create. Thus, Brahma knew the perfect description of creation, as it was exactly apprised to him by the Supreme Lord Hari. Brahma, on being questioned by Narad, told Narad exactly what he had heard directly from the Lord. Narad again told exactly the same thing to Vyas, and Vyas also told Shukadev exactly what he had heard from Narada. And Shukadev was going to repeat the same statements as he had heard from Vyas. That is the way of Vedic understanding. The language of the Vedas can be revealed only by the above-mentioned disciplic succession and not otherwise. There is no use in theories. Knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated, and one cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. The Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above-mentioned system. Otherwise, it is not at all understood. Shukadeva Goswami, therefore, prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma, or what was directly spoken by Brahma to Narad. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Shukadeva Goswami are not at all, as the mundaners suggest, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them gets perfect information of the material creation. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Process of Creation. Very, very nice. So, we're on the last verse, and it's very similar what is being described here by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. It's very similar to the beginning of the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Imam Rajarshi O Vidu. And Prabhupada is going through a lot of detail in that. Particularly, it's like, if I may, who did yesterday's verse? Who covered yesterday's verse?
Dina Sharana Prabhu.
Dina Sharana, yeah. Like, I was looking at yesterday's verse this morning when I was having a look at at today's, and there's no connection whatsoever with the verse on the purport. Almost no connection. Prabhupada is speaking about Rasa Leela in the purport, whereas I mean, if you look at the verse, there's nothing about Rasa Leela in the verse itself, but This goes to prove and extend the point, the very point that Prabhupada is making in today's purport. Unless we're connected to the pure source who has seen the truth, who has that tattva darshan, everything else we do will be just speculative. I mean, there was, where was it? There's no use in theories, Prabhupada is saying here. Knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated, and that's a fact. I mean, the cosmic manifestation is not a joke. It came from a sound, Shabda Brahma. So the first thing that Brahma heard was tapa, perform tapasya. I mean, you imagine, you wake up tomorrow, you go to sleep, you're in your bed, and you wake up tomorrow and there's nothing around you. Nothing, I mean, literally nothing. There's no earth, there's no planets, no sun, no moon, and this is what you wake up to. And Brahma was searching of his own volition. If you remember from the early history, before he heard the sound vibration, he was searching of his own volition. He was going up and down the stem of the lotus flower. He was going all over the place. He was trying to figure out what is going on. He completely and totally failed. And that was for a long, long time. I mean, we're talking about a long time. In our years, thousands of millions of years, he was searching for what's going on here. And then he heard the sound vibration and performed tapasya. He went into meditation, and from there he was given the instruction. So it's like it. I mean, how do we conceive that? I mean, if we go with the Abrahamic religions, there's no concept of this. It's all very, very, very simple, very basic stuff. Like you'd explain, complicated physics to a child. But here, Prabhupada is saying this may seem like it's super complicated and so on and so forth. The statements of creation explained by Sukadeva are not at all, as the mundaners suggest, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them gets perfect information of the material creation. So the karmis, for the most part, I'm not talking about the religious karmis, the karmis for the most part, they said there's no God, there's nobody in control. It just happened by chance, and there was a big bang and an explosion and all that kind of stuff, and it all came from chemicals. But Prabhupada counteracts that argument by saying, well, if it all came from chemicals, where did the chemicals come from? So that they don't have an answer for. It's just like in the Bible, it is explained that Adam was created from mud, and then God formed Adam, and then he created his offspring, his wife, from a rib. But the karmis, they say that this is impossible, it can't be done. Whatever the analogy might be, to give the idea of how creation, it's there in all the scriptures. But the problem is that they don't have a depth of knowledge to the extent that is there in the Vedas. The word Veda itself, it means knowledge. So Prabhupada is saying there's no use in theories, knowledge must be factual. So it's hard to conceive for us, even as followers or aspirants on the path of bhakti, that this is like, wow, this is really far out stuff. I mean, how did this come about? But we're saying, if you see the last verse, the last word, one who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them, gets perfect information of the material creation. And it's the same for the previous purport that Prabhupada is saying here in the previous purport. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures of the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts. So this is important. Prabhupada speaking, giving an explanation on one shloka in the title, in the chapter entitled The Process of Creation. So what has this got to do with Krishna and his consorts? I mean, you would imagine that this is 10th canto stuff. It belongs in a different realm, in a different environment. No, not at all. Our problem, my problem in particular, is that we see Krishna consciousness in a linear fashion. You know, you do this, you make this much progress. You do that, you make that much progress. You know how to do arti, then you go on to do this, and then you know how to do abhishek, and then you know how to do this, and then you go on to this, and then it's all linear. We're thinking it doesn't work like that. I mean, if we analyze it, why did Srila Prabhupada, in his big project in establishing the temple in Vrindavan, why did he call it Krishna Balaram? I mean, that's going against the train of thought. That's going against the grain there. I mean, everything in Vrindavan is Radha Krishna. Everything. And before Srila Prabhupada came, even with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, we see there was no such thing as Gaur Nitai. Everywhere Prabhupada went, he installed Gaur Nitai all over the world. And why? I mean, in the Gaudiya Math, which is bona fide, genuine, it's not like when we go to Gaudiya Math temples, we see Radha Krishna and Mahaprabhu, that, you know, that they don't know as much as we do. No, this is established by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. That's his system. But Prabhupada took it a step further. And he included Nityananda, because Nityananda is the essence. Because what is the Maha Mantra? What do we imagine the Maha Mantra? It's coming from the spiritual world. It's coming down from the topmost platform in the spiritual existence. It's coming down right here, down here, to the bottommost, to the lowest. So it's straight from the spiritual world. And who brings it? Even Mahaprabhu, when he was sending out Lord Nityananda to preach, most of the followers of Mahaprabhu, if we can recall from our readings, if we've done it, our readings from Chaitanya Charitamrita, most of the followers of Mahaprabhu were from South India. They weren't from Bengal. They were South Indians. Mahaprabhu was born in Bengal, but most of his followers, the Goswamis, they're from South India. And they migrated. And all the big acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, they're all from South India, the Dravidian part of India, as it's known. But Mahaprabhu, he sent Lord Nityananda, you go and preach in Bengal. You know, those Bengalis, they're stubborn. They're hard-hearted. And they resist, because there's so much based on logic and reason and argument. And yes, you need that. You need logic, reason, and argument. You need to be able to articulate and to know something of the philosophy. But there are so many examples in the stories of both Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, where people who were illiterate were pure devotees. We all know the story of that devotee in South India that Mahaprabhu met, who couldn't read or write, and he was a pure devotee. Forget about that. And what about the dog who jumped up and ate the pulp that Mahaprabhu threw into the air, that all the devotees went to grab? The dog got there first and just disappeared, went back to Goloka Vrindavan. But who did he send? He sent Nityananda. Everywhere Nityananda went. And who did Nityananda encounter? The famous Jagai and Madhai, who just were so ridiculous in their the way they treated Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was so merciful. He's Balaram. I mean, he got angry with Jamuna because he called Jamuna when he was a little bit intoxicated with his Varuni beverage. He called Jamuna to come. He wanted to take bath. He has his own gopis, so he wanted to take bath, and Yamuna said, he's drunk. I'll leave him alone. He'll sober up. And he got angry. He picked up his plow and he was going to, and immediately Yamuna, whoa, she came. So this is, but when he appears with Mahaprabhu, he is the most merciful. We're coming up now to his appearance day. So next week, I think it is. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge to get the mercy of Nityananda. It's absolutely vital to get the mercy of Nityananda. It is described by so many senior devotees. It's not my speculation or my idea that Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktavesha avatar of Nityananda. That's how he was able to bring the mercy of Nityananda all over the world. That's why we have Gaurnitai deities all over the world installed by Prabhupada. Because when Prabhupada had those heart attacks, he had 2 or 3 heart attacks on the Jaladuta. He survived by the mercy of Nityananda. He was empowered by Nityananda to carry on. He should have left. He should have left the planet at that point. He didn't, but he carried on, and he was empowered by Nityananda. So then when Prabhupada, I covered, I was in Atlanta for a few months interviewing the devotees there when I was there, and Prabhupada installed one of the big Gaurnitai deities, full-size Gaurnitai. One of the first ones was Atlanta. And when Prabhupada installed the deities after the ceremony and the Abhishek, everything was over, Prabhupada was giving a talk. Prabhupada was in floods of tears in front of the deities. Now these beautiful brothers have come here, Nityananda and Mahaprabhu, and you treat them properly and you take care of them, they will deliver you. They will bring you back to Godhead. Mahaprabhu, he wanted to kill Jagai and Madhai. Immediately his chakra was out, although he was coming in the mood of Radha, but immediately his Vishnu tattva manifested and his chakra was out, and Nityananda grabbed his feet. Please, don't do that. That's why in the Ram Leela, Lakshman, who's Balram, he he said to Lord Ram, "Never again am I going to appear as your younger brother. This is too much. I have to go through all this stuff next time." So then Krishna, he can't chastise his older brother, but he begged Nityananda, "Please, you go to Bengal. You preach there, you convert the Bengalis." And Mahaprabhu said, "They're stubborn. But we're all stubborn. We're all stubborn. We don't want to surrender to this absolutely amazing mercy that has just been from the highest in Goloka Vrindavan. The Mahamantra is coming down to here amongst us, the lowest. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. We're all in this Sudra-like mentality, but by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and we see the pastimes. I remember when the only time I went to Orissa, and I happened to be there around the time of the Rath Yatra. I just arrived a few days before. I had no idea the Rath Yatra was going on. I saw Lord Jagannath being brought out of the temple, the huge Jagannath, and I was right there at the steps, and then the big bursting pillows and the feathers flying everywhere, lifting him onto the cart. It was like a sea, a wave. And then we went to all the different places of pilgrimage and to the Siddha Bakul and all these different places around Puri. It was like living in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's like that all the time. This is our constitutional position. This is us. We are in this right now, right this very second as we're talking here. We are living a life of absolute and total eternal bliss. But because we are misidentifying with everything else and thinking that of the Lord. That's why Lord Chaitanya says that I cannot contain myself to understand, even for a second, what are the absolute blissful nectarian pastimes that are contained between the two syllables Krishna. Lord Chaitanya can't understand. He can't appreciate it. That's why he's appearing in this mood of Radha. He's appearing in the mood of Radha because this is a mood of what? Of servitude. Absolute and total servitude. Radha is like, and Krishna, he can't understand how is it that Radha service that it's just inconceivable. He can't understand himself. Krishna can't understand himself. He's such a depth of a personality. That's why every morning when he wakes up in Dwarka, in this vast kingdom, where he's surrounded by all this majesty and awe and Aishvarya, Leela, reverence, the first thing he does, he wakes up in the morning, he chants Gayatri. Why would Krishna chant Gayatri? Because he's totally absorbed in trying to figure it out himself, and he can only do that through Radha. It's all done with service, and he wants to serve. He's in the mood of seva. His service is the attitude. Service is the actual key that will bring us to Krishna's lotus feet. Everything else is just, we're going through the motions. We're doing the ritualistic processes, which are there, which we are encouraged to do, which we should do, which we must do. But then it's not the goal is the ritualistic processes. The goal is Krishna's lotus feet. So it's not this like, when you do this, you get this reward, and it's not like some kind of corporate structure. It doesn't work like that. It's spiritual life. It's different. We cannot compare it to anything in the material world, but we do, and to some extent we must. But that's not the real deal. The real deal is in grabbing hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and taking advantage of this wonderful, wonderful opportunity that Prabhupada has presented to us and the sacrifices he made for our benefit because of this investiture of the power of Nityananda that was invested in Srila Prabhupada to bring us to the lotus feet of Krishna, of Radha and Krishna. Like you see yesterday's verse, purport rather. In pursuance of the specific utterance Veda has say, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge. This is interesting how Prabhupada is quoting different acharyas. It's fascinating, and how they don't all agree either. And they don't disagree in a way that's confrontational or aggressive. They disagree, they can disagree, but they disagree in a way that is enhancing or elaborating or opening up the lotus flower to give us more interesting knowledge and more nectar. That's the way in which they can, if you can look at it from that point of view and call it a disagreement, which is not. But it's interesting the way Prabhupada puts it. Srila Sridhar Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this. This is Jiva Goswami. I mean, this is no small timer. Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. So this is our philosophy, this is our legacy, this is our right to be a part of this Rasa Leela. Why is Prabhupada mentioning about Rasa Leela here? The whole purport is dedicated, he's talking about the end, the form of Krishna kissing by the Lord in the Rasa dance. I mean, this is explicit. And this is the second canto. Because it just, these are Prabhupada's ecstasies, these purports. They're Prabhupada's ecstasies. So sometimes Prabhupada couldn't contain himself when he was writing these purports. So he just wrote straight from Goloka Vrindavan and put it on the page. And it just breaks through, just like sometimes, as I described with that incident in Atlanta and elsewhere, when Prabhupada first heard when the George Harrison helped Jamuna and the devotees to record Govinda Madhipurusham, the Brahma Samhita verses that we play every morning when we open the curtains. And the first time Prabhupada heard it, he was just crying like a baby. He was just crying. That was in Los Angeles. The devotee sent a recording from London to LA. Prabhupada was in LA, and Prabhupada was just crying. That's when he said, okay, from now on, from this day, this should be played every morning, every temple in the world. When they're opening the curtain, this should be played. That's why we have it. He knew then, he knew this is Jamuna Devi, a Westerner, coming from this Malecha background. And all these devotees who were sent to London, they were married couples, no sannyasis involved. One of them, Malati, had a child, Sarasvati, a 2-year-old child. These were the ones who were sent to London to start the movement, the worldwide movement. And from there it went all over the world. So Prabhupada said, this movement is now established. He knew then it's caught on, it's taken root. This is the seed from that record, Govinda Madhipurusham, that we play every morning. So it's like it can't be eliminated. Once it's there, it's there. Prabhupada went right into New York, right into the heart of Kali, to rip out the heart of Kali and destroy Kali Yuga, and he succeeded. But we are also a part of this process. We are also a part of his movement. We are a part of his mission. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. So we're all in this. We're all in this together, and the whole point of it is service. To give service, to render service ultimately to Radha and Krishna, but to render service with each other, no matter what or how insignificant or how menial that service is. The key is in seva. That's the real key. I mean, if you see here, such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para, or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown. And it's unknown to who? It's unknown to who? What does Prabhupada say? To the forgotten conditioned souls. He doesn't just say conditioned souls. Forgotten conditioned souls. We have forgotten. So if you forget something, that means at some point in time you must have had it, right? Otherwise, how could you forget it? So at some point in time, it was there, it was in our consciousness, it was a part of us, it was an intrinsic part of our nature. It is an intrinsic part of our nature. But because of this affinity that we have developed for material consciousness, then we identify in the wrong way. Just like we identify, I've given that example a million times, you're bored of it. We identify, in so many ways with all the things that are going on in our dream state. But that's not us. But we're convinced that it's real. We're convinced that this is real. I'm convinced I'm Irish. I'm convinced I'm a Mazunko. I'm convinced I'm a male. We understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, there's no such thing as a male. There's the only male in existence is Krishna. Everyone else is female. So, but because of this misidentification, it just carries on, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and then one life after another, and then it completely cements the existence of the whole karmi world. So then it just goes from bad to worse, and it gets to the point where there's nothing left then accept this karmic existence. So we have to reach a point where, we just forget about it. Just forget about all this karmic stuff. Like we were discussing the other day, about the different modes of karma and the different ways of adjusting to karma. Like there's sanchit, kriyaman, and parabdha. Like there's karma that is stored karma from the past, present experienced karma that we're making right now, good or bad. And then there's new karma that is coming as a result of the karma that we're engaged in now. And it's all mixed with the stored karma that's going from the past. So the sanchit karma is the complete collection of the results of punya, pap, karma. All of our actions done in the past lives are being latent in our chit to fructify in future births. So then when we go through a period when it's fructified, that there's pap or there's punya, whatever the case may be, it makes no difference whether it's punya or pap. It's irrelevant. Actions under our control, and they must be performed with the utmost awareness and transcendental wisdom. Krishna explains the science of karma, free living, in the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, 4 to 6. So if we want to know about karma, that's where we look. Each of us is the architect of our own destiny. No matter how trivial it may seem, every act we do produces an effect. That's a fact. Everything. I mean, this is like a basic law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is the law. I mean, we can't just say, "Oh, well, I don't believe the back." But then, where does the karma come into it? So it's like there's no such thing as innocence. It doesn't exist. We're all an accumulation of so many millions of lifetimes of karma, and we've accumulated. It's already there, and then right now at this point in time, we're also engaged in the result, good or bad, of that past karma activities. But then what we're doing now also produces more karma that will fructify in the future. Just like when you plant a seed, you don't see the fruit straight away, or the flowers. You have to wait. But the whole tree is in the seed. And it's like Prabhupada gives the example of why would a child, an innocent child, why would a child suffer karma? The material aspect is neutral. The material aspect is just providing the conditions under which we can enjoy or suffer the results of that karma. Like Prabhupada gives the example of a child crawling around, and the mother goes into the kitchen to turn the milk off that's over boiling on the stove, and the child is crawling around in the parlor and goes towards the fire because it's attractive. And the child puts the hand in the fire. The fire is neutral. So the fire doesn't think, oh, this is a small little baby, innocent, crawling around, hasn't done any bad, sinful activities ever. It's so innocent and pure and everything. No, the fire burns. It doesn't discriminate. Oh, I'll save this child. The fire is neutral. So karma is neutral, but we're living or enjoying or suffering the results of our past deeds. So it's not like it's completely impersonal. We're not Mayavadis that we just say, oh, it's karma, just nothing to do with me. Oh, why am I suffering? Oh, why am I enjoying? Nobody ever complains when they're enjoying. We only complain when we're suffering. And that's when we go to the church. That's when we go to the temple or the mosque. Oh, please, please relieve the suffering. God, help me. Bhagavan, save me from this, that, or the other. When Prahlad was being tortured by his father, and his father's soldiers, and boiling oil and throwing him off a cliff and throwing into a pit of snakes, and Prahlad just He never prayed. He didn't pray, oh, save me, save me, save me. No, but Krishna saw my devotee. I will give you protection, do not fear. So what does it mean? Do we believe it? Do we accept it? Do we take it into consideration? Sarva Dharma Parijajaya, yeah, nice sloka and so on and so forth. Just surrender unto me. I will give you protection. Do not fear. Masuchaha. But, these shlokas they're not there just for, recitation, and I'm a big scholar and I know Sanskrit and I know this and I know. No, they're there for a reason. The whole point of Bhagavad Gita is to reach a conclusion. And what is that conclusion? It's not just to learn the Bhagavad Gita. We should. We must. But then just knowing all 700 verses, that doesn't mean that now I've reached the goal. No, but what's the purport? This is coming from Prabhupada. The ambition, the destination, the aspiration. This is not something that's in the future. This is happening now, right this very minute, this very second. It's going on now. But the more we dive into it, the more we take shelter of the philosophy and the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, the more it's revealed to us now. Not when we leave the body and we go to another destination and then it's now. So it's like it's not some futuristic plan. Prabhupada said in that famous lecture he gave in Melbourne in Australia, somebody in the audience asked him, so how long does it take? How many lifetimes? Prabhupada said, in a second. In a second. But to what degree am I crying out for it? To what degree do I really want it? To what degree do I really want to be a devotee? To what degree am I prepared to surrender? To what degree am I prepared to give up my misidentification with the body and the mind and the ego? That's the worst part. The worst thing that can happen is that whether we're being sannyasi or grihasta or vanaprastha or whatever the case may be, that's not the point. It's not that pratishta only applies to seniors. Pratishta applies to all of us. We want some kind of name and fame and profit, adoration and distinction. So this all this stuff it has to go. Even and the worst part is not the gross aspect of being attracted to the material energy. The most difficult to overcome is the subtle. It's the subtle desire for enjoyment. That's what really gets us. So the karma, even mundane actions like eating and sleeping, imagine, eating and sleeping becomes seva, leading to liberation because they're performed without desire for results. Thus no further karma is produced. So what does Krishna say? Somebody who's eating, even a so-called vegetarian, he's eating sin. So this is the key, is to go beyond this mundane thing of thinking, I'm so good, I'm a vegetarian, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. No, go beyond that. Do everything as an offering, everything. So nothing is mundane. Every single activity in our life is transcendental, regardless of what it is. Or what aspect of or which stage of our lives that we're at. You can say, oh yeah, I've been a devotee for so many years and I've reached this stage, now I have this far to go. No. Now is forget the past that sleeps, Bhaktivinoda Thakur again, and ne'er the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, in progress thee shall call. It's now. It's not something that's in the future, it'll happen tomorrow, it'll happen next week. No, it's now. It's urgent. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. What is Krishna talking about when he's saying, I will give you protection from the most dangerous type of fear? Not death, not being killed by some nuclear weapon, or no, that's the most dangerous type of fear is losing Krishna. Is losing what we have gained by coming in touch with this philosophy and letting this lifetime go. Such a loss. No need. Absolutely no need. So we really have to come to grips with what we need to do today. As Prabhupada said in that again, one should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor. Again, Prabhupada's talking about conjugal ras. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadev. In other words, from the devotee. Hear from the devotee. What is the reality? He's just mentioning Vyasadeva or Shukadev. But we have our own Vyasadeva. We have our own. We have our Prabhupada. He's our current Vyasadeva. So this is where, you know, it's coming in, like in as we read from the fourth canto, how it was lost. The knowledge was lost. Imam Rajarshio Vidu. In time it was lost, and then Krishna came to re-establish it again. That was only 5,000 years ago. Prabhupada says in another purport elsewhere, I forget where it was, it could have been in the fourth chapter, that the Bhagavad Gita was first spoken to the sun god 120 million years ago. You know, so I mean, people talk about, you know, Islam being 1,500 years old, and Christianity 2,000 years old, and Buddhism 2,500 years old, and so on and so forth. Zoroastrianism, or whatever the case may be. We're talking here 120 million years. It's a bit longer than the kind of concept of time that we've got. But then Krishna came to re-establish. Once in a day of Brahma, Krishna comes. Once in a day of Brahma. It was only 5,000 years ago. There are still artifacts being found from that period of time by archaeologists. It's not like that period of time was like some mythological story. It actually was the reality of the Supreme Lord came down here on this planet. We can go and see and participate in the places of where his pastimes took hold. From the Lord, by gradual development of transcendental knowledge. You see this? Gradual development of transcendental knowledge. One can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance as displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But, this is the warning, without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So it's all there. It's there. It's just like we just have to. It's like coming to the shore of the ocean. All we have to do is jump in. Just jump in. I mean, it's not like it's rocket science. This is us. This is our legacy. This is our right. This is our constitutional position. This is who we are. We are a part and parcel of what's going on in Goloka Vrindavan. We are there. We are in it right now. As we speak in this class, this is us. But we're our own worst enemy. We hold ourselves back. We pull the reins of the horse to hold the horse from going forward. There's no need. There's no need. There's no need for all this anxiety and all this mundane interaction. It's totally unnecessary. We need now at this stage in our lives to start to become aloof from all this, but not only become aloof in the sense that we just ignore it. We can't ignore life, it's there. But we have to become aloof in the sense that we understand, not just theoretically anymore. We have to get into the practical application of understanding the philosophy in a practical way, that we actually do relish it. And we forever taste the nectar for which we are always hankering. Are we hankering? Am I hankering for the nectar? Am I always hankering for this nectar? Is that really my consciousness? Is that really my motivation? Or is there always something else that takes a priority that, ultimately holds me back from engaging to the extent that I could be engaging? And why? Why? It's just so unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position, but there's no need for it. That's the thing. We just have to dive in and just relish it. Prabhupada says in that verse, the supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. But now we no longer have that excuse. It's no longer lost. It's clearly stated here, Prabhupada says, that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings, because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. And this is what we have, unfortunately, everywhere. Not only in terms of Bhagavad Gita, in terms of all the religions. People are just dissipating its value for no one's benefit and devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. We don't want personal whims. We're not interested in whimsical. We want the reality. We want the real deal. We want the nectar. And the nectar is there. Have to do. We don't want to be running out into in the middle of a drought. It starts to rain, it's pouring rain, and we run out with a fork to catch the rain. It's that's what we're doing. Krishna is showering his mercy, showering his blessings on us, pouring the nectar from Goloka Vrindavan straight down on our head, and we're running out with a fork to catch it. No, we want a great big barrel, a great big bucket, grab it every single moment in time. This is our legacy. This is our right. This is our constitutional position. This is our sampradaya. Look at this purport that you did yesterday. I mean, it's like straight Rasalila, Goloka Vrindavan. Prabhupada just bursts out, and it comes out every so often in Prabhupada. It just bursts out, and he just gives and gives and gives and gives without cessation. And we're saying, yeah, okay, tomorrow. No, it's today. The time is now. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. It's a few minutes remaining of the hour, and very grateful. Thank you for listening yet again. And let's churn the ocean of devotion and forget the commotion and just go for the promotion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Excellent class today. Prabhuji, you were talking of how we are we are going out with a fork when and in a way we are self-sabotaging ourselves, and we are not trying to enjoy the nectar. And would it be because of the fear that if we start enjoying the nectar, then we'll forget what our material dharma is? Like we'll forget the family, and once you've tasted the nectar, I mean, obviously you don't want to stay in this material world.
Yeah,
I remember my parents when we were growing up saying, "Oh, don't take them to Katha and don't take them here and there. We don't want to influence them now into bhakti." So, is that the reason why we are self-sabotaging? I mean,
yeah,
just a thought.
yeah. That's a point. That's a very good point. It's true. We become, over the millions of lifetimes we've enjoyed, tried to enjoy. We don't really enjoy. We suffer. But then we get a tiny little tiny little drop of honey out of the ocean of suffering. We get a tiny little drop of honey and say, "Oh yeah, everything is good now. I'm fine." But yeah, there is this fear that, how can I let go of something that I know, that's something that is there, something I have experience of. But then when we reflect, all these aspects of life that we are attached to, they bring us suffering. They bring nothing but suffering. And then even going beyond that, if we were to put that to one side for a second and just go down the philosophical route and just treat it in a purely philosophical way, if we do so-called renounce the family, although that's not the point, but if we did just give up the family traditions and everything like that, but we engage the family in the service of Krishna, then that's the ultimate relief from their suffering also. And we don't, not only do we save ourselves, but we save all those around us, as was given to Prahlad Maharaj when his father was killed by Lord Nrsingadev. He said, "Ask anything you want. Anything you want, just ask. It's there." I said, "Lord, just please forgive my father and just give him liberation." That's already there. Forget about that. That's already guaranteed. So many generations of your family are liberated. So that's there. So then what are we still worried about? I mean, it's guaranteed by the Lord himself. Excuse me. So many generations are liberated from the cycle of samsara. But we're still concerned, oh no, if it wasn't for me, they're going to suffer more, and I have to do this and I have to do that. I'm the Ishvara. No, I'm not the Ishvara. That's the problem. The material nature is there. It's going to give you your reward. It's going to give you your suffering regardless of what you might try to do to mitigate it. It won't happen unless it's already. So, yeah, but it's a deep attachment because it's not physical, not only physical, it's also a subtle. But then the more we dive into the philosophy, the more we can see that, well, this is like offering so much more than anything I've ever experienced. So why not take that chance? I mean, I know the mundane aspect is bringing suffering. That I know, because I've experienced it. But then this other side is, Prabhupada said, just give this one lifetime, or even a half a lifetime. Jesus says in the Bible, many are called, few are chosen. So the offer is open to everybody, but few take it up. That's why Krishna also says, Samahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Because the material energy is Krishna's energy. It may be his external energy, and we think it's lesser. No way. It's deep. It runs deep on so many levels, subtle and physical, that to give it up, it needs divine intervention. That's why we're crying for Krishna. Please, Krishna, engage me in your service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please engage me in your service. There's nothing else. Yeah, that's one we have to go with. We have to fight the little demons that are there inside all of us, and overcome that, and try to surrender the lotus feet of Prabhupada and Krishna. There's nothing else. Jai, that very nice question. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for today's class. We've exhausted our time, but one last question. I mean, it's not a difficult one. Why in the Jagannath Rath Yatra, I also saw the pillows and the feathers coming out. What is the significance of that?
It's to save the Lord from being hurt when he's being brought down the steps, and to cushion the blow when the Lord, he's no feet. And so it's to cushion the blow, so he can, and it's also to give ecstasy to his devotees, to the sevatas, isn't it? And they also experience this ecstasy. Lord Jagannath is experiencing the ecstasy of being carried. So he's such a big murti, and he just he's in pools of ecstasy. That's why he has these big eyes. They're bigger than anyone's head. Just one eye is huge. So he's in pools of ecstasy. Subhadra is in ecstasy. Balaram is in ecstasy, and everybody's just rolling around in pools of devotion. Yeah, like Lord Chaitanya. That's why Lord Chaitanya spent 24 years in Puri.
Yeah. So
and he organized, the Rath Yatras he organized, and the kirtans. I mean, he was like, so many pastimes. Puri is. Sorry, what were you saying?
In the Rath Yatra, the original deities of the Jagannath temple come out, or they have replicas of them?
No, the original. Yeah, the original
Those
deities.
huge ones.
Yeah, they bring them out. That's why they have these big pillows on. There's so many steps in front of the mandir from the main gate, and they bring them out. And then, of course, to avoid the Lord being hurt, they put these pillows on each step, and he's heavy. And the pandits, they're big, strong guys, and carrying him with silk ropes. Boom, and each one bursts. So many of those feathers went over me. I was right there. I was brought up by the Pujari. He got me to touch the feet of Jagannath. The original, and we're not allowed in the temple, but the Pujari dragged me up and put my head at Jagannath's feet.
Wow.
It was insane.
Okay. Yeah. I think we've exhausted our time. Can I request Indulekha Mataji? Mataji, can you please close the session for today?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this nice class. As usual, you have vast knowledge, and it looks like you have been together with Prabhupada all the time when he was on this earth. But you do lots of search also. And as you said, Prabhuji, we should start our devotional life today, now, not tomorrow, not another time, because who has seen tomorrow? Nobody. No, not sure. Plus, in Hindi, there is a saying said, Jo kal kare so aaj, jo aaj kare so ab. Meaning, whatever you have to do tomorrow, do it today. And whatever you have it today, do it now. So otherwise, we will lose from it. Yes. So this is very, very nice, because we don't know. We may go to sleep and never wake up again. And we miss the chance, as you said. And for Kritika Mataji, I'm so sorry that your parents didn't take you to kathas when we were younger. My parents always encouraged, even we were praying to the demigods. We didn't know about Krishna consciousness. always encourage us, like pouring water, giving water to Tulsi Maharani, doing Hanuman Chalisa, or doing Om Jai Jagadish, all these things we were doing. And I carried that to my daughters. And then I was left behind at the age of 20 years. My twins were already twice initiated, and I didn't need to start my spiritual journey in Krishna consciousness.
Wow.
So, but they were in UK, and I was back home. So yes. So when you inculcate that to your children, they carry it forward, and then they drag you together. They bring you there where they are, and whatever you said, whatever parents do, children reap, but whatever children also do, parents get the benefit, right? Like Prahlad Maharaj, his father, what he did, father got liberated. So it's vice versa. Both sides works. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you for this class. So I will request that we unmute and we chant the Maha Mantra to glorify Vidura Parbhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasinubhavaivasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, and
Hari Hari Bol.
ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Vidura Parbhuji ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good night, everybody. Good night. Hari Bol.
Night. Thank you very much,
For me,
Prabhuji.
mid morning, Prabhuji. For me, 10 o'clock morning.
Okay. Jai.